Made in connection to the cyber attacks against Miami-Dade public schools this first week of school.
A 16-year-old student is accused of causing network outages and cyber attacks in Miami-Dade schools.
We're learning more today about the cyber attacks against Miami-Dade public schools this week.
Yeah, the 16-year-old student is now facing several charges in connection with the hack attack. Local 10 News reporter Hasselvella.
It started with bullying. It ended with a school-wide shutdown. For 2 whole days, no classes, no online homework, no email, just chaos. And the craziest part? It wasn't a storm, a power outage, or a school-wide walkout. It was one angry kid, a laptop, and a plan. This is the story of a teenager who got fed up with his school, learned how to hack, and brought the whole system to its knees without even getting out of bed. Imagine the scene. It's a typical Monday morning at a sprawling suburban high school in the U.S. Kids are trudging through the hallways, backpacks slung over their shoulders, half awake. Teachers are sipping coffee, trying to log into the school's online portal to pull up lesson plans. Parents are emailing about field trip forms. Everything's humming along, until it isn't. One by one, screens go blank. Error messages pop up. The entire digital backbone of the school, logins, emails, class platforms, collapses. For 2 days, a public institution is paralyzed. And behind it all, a kid in his pajamas typing furiously, fueled by resentment and a dangerous amount of curiosity. Let's call him Josh. Not his real name, but the story's real, pieced together from court documents, news reports, and whispers in cybersecurity circles. Josh was a sophomore at a public high school somewhere in the Midwest. Picture a typical American high school. Faded lockers, fluorescent lights, a football field that gets more funding than the computer lab. Josh wasn't the kid leading pep rallies or starring in the school play. He was the opposite. Quiet, introverted, always online. The kind of kid who blended into the background, unnoticed by most, except when someone needed a target. Josh was smart though, scary smart. He'd been teaching himself to code since middle school, building little games in Python, tweaking website designs for fun, even figuring out how to bypass the school's Wi-Fi filters to play Fortnite during study hall. Online, he was a wizard. In the real world, he was invisible. And that was the problem. School was a battleground for Josh. He wasn't getting shoved into lockers or beaten up in the parking lot. That's movie stuff. But the bullying was relentless in its own quiet, cruel way. Kids mocked his thrift store clothes, his wiry frame, his habit of always having earbuds in. Group projects were torture. His teammates ignored his ideas, then blamed him when things went wrong. Gym class was the worst. Dodgeballs aimed at his head, snickers from the jocks, the coach yelling at him to toughen up. Even teachers seemed to overlook him, assuming he was just another C student coasting through. Day after day, it piled up. The taunts, the exclusion, the feeling of being less than. Josh was drowning in a place where no one seemed to care. He needed an outlet, a way to feel powerful even for a moment. And one night, after another miserable day of school, he found it, buried in the depths of the internet. It was late, probably 2 a.m., when Josh stumbled into a Reddit thread about cybersecurity. He wasn't looking for trouble at first. He was just bored, scrolling through subreddits like r technology and r hacking.
So a simple Google search of how to do one of these will reveal how to do them. It doesn't even have to be an orchestrated setup. It's some simple software you can use, and it just basically goes and almost grabs other people's computers that they don't even know and start sending traffic to these websites that they want to take down.
Soaking up information like a sponge. Then he found a post about DDoS attacks, distributed denial of service. The concept was simple but electrifying. Send so much traffic to a server that it crashes under the pressure. It's like a digital flash mob overwhelming a store until it can't function. No one gets in, no one gets out, all the jargon, TCP packets, botnets, IP spoofing, but the idea clicked. Crash a server and people can't log in. If people can't log in, the school grinds to a halt. No classes, no assignments, no emails, just chaos. It was like pulling the fire alarm without the consequences, or so he thought. He dove into the rabbit hole. For a week straight, he devoured everything he could find. YouTube tutorials with titles like DDoS 101 for educational purposes only, blog posts on shady websites, and Discord servers where self-proclaimed hackers swapped tips. Using a fake username, something like DarkShadow420, he asked questions. Can you DDoS a school website? How do you know if it works? Most responses were vague or sarcastic, but some pointed him to tools, free downloadable scripts that could automate the attack. Josh wasn't ready to code his own malware, but he didn't need to. The internet was a candy store of destruction, and he was a kid with a sweet tooth. He found a Python-based DDoS script on a sketchy forum. It was simple. It hijacked unsecured devices, webcams, routers, even smart fridges, and turned them into a botnet, a zombie army that could flood a target with junk traffic. Josh tested it on a random public website, some obscure blog about gardening. The site went down in 10 minutes. His heart raced. This was power, real power. He tweaked the script, pointed it at his school's main website, the one that ran everything: student logins, teacher email, the learning management system. He set a timer, hit run, and went to bed, half expecting it to fail. The next morning, Tuesday, 8 a.m., the school woke up to a digital apocalypse. Students logging in for their first period assignments got error messages. Server not responding. Teachers trying to access gradebooks or lesson plans saw spinning wheels and blank screens. Parents emailing the principal about a missed bus got bounce backs. The school's entire online ecosystem, built on a single overworked server, was dead.
Providence Schools Director of Communications tells us they learned late Saturday night that Classical High School's website had been hacked into, and they immediately took action to shut it down.
The IT department, a team of 3 underpaid techs who mostly dealt with forgotten passwords and jammed printers, was in full panic mode. The phone rang off the hook. Angry teachers, confused parents, even the superintendent demanding answers. "What's going on?" the principal shouted during an emergency meeting. The IT guys rebooted the server, checked the wiring, even called the internet provider. Nothing worked. The system was drowning in a flood of traffic from thousands of devices across the globe, hacked routers in Russia, webcams in South Korea, smart TVs in Texas. The school was under siege, and no one knew why. Meanwhile, Josh was in his bedroom, 3 miles away, sipping energy drinks and watching the chaos unfold on his phone. He'd joined a student Discord server where kids were buzzing about the outage. "No school today," one posted, followed by a string of party emojis. "This is better than a snow day," another wrote. Josh stayed silent, but inside, he was electric. He'd done it. He'd turned the tables. For once, he was in control. He'd expected the attack to last an hour, maybe 2, just enough to disrupt the morning, but the system stayed down all day. By Wednesday, it was still offline. The school sent a mass email from a backup Gmail account. "Due to unexpected server issues, classes are temporarily suspended. We apologize for the inconvenience." Students celebrated like it was Christmas. Teachers scrambled to make paper handouts. Parents fumed about disrupted schedules. And Josh, he was a secret hero, the kid who gave everyone a 2-day vacation. But like all good stories, it couldn't stay secret forever. Josh thought he was untouchable. He'd used a VPN to hide his IP address, picked a random username, and run the attack from a script he barely understood. But here's the thing about being 16. You're not as clever as you think. Josh had made a critical mistake, one that would unravel his entire plan. The school's IT team was out of their depth, but the district wasn't. They called in a cybersecurity firm who quickly identified the attack as a DDoS. The firm noticed something else. The attack wasn't sophisticated, it was sloppy, amateurish, like someone had downloaded a script and hit go. That meant there were digital fingerprints, logs, patterns, and a specific version of the DDoS tool that pointed to a shady online forum. The firm alerted the FBI's cybercrime division because schools are considered critical infrastructure.
State prosecutors have agreed to let Christian Oliveros meet with a psychologist or therapist to see if he can be diverted to a program or therapy. It still hasn't been determined if he will be charged as an adult.
Crashing One isn't just a prank, it's a federal offense. The FBI dug deeper. They traced the traffic to thousands of hacked devices. But one clue stood out: the username tied to the forum where the script was downloaded. Dark Shadow 420 had been asking a lot of questions about DDoS attacks, questions that screamed newbie. The FBI cross-referenced the username with other platforms. They found it on a Minecraft server where Dark Shadow 420 had been chatting about mods and skins. Josh, in a moment of laziness, had reused the same gamertag across platforms. That gamertag linked to an email address he'd used for a password recovery. The email linked to a phone number, his mom's old phone, which Josh had used for two-factor authentication. One morning, as Josh was eating cereal and scrolling Reddit, there was a knock at the door. His mom opened it to two federal agents in suits. "We need to speak with your son," they said. Josh's stomach dropped. His secret was out. It wasn't a Hollywood arrest. No SWAT team, no handcuffs, no dramatic music. Just two calm agents asking Josh to step outside. His mom stood in the doorway, confused and angry, demanding to know what was going on. Josh, pale and shaking, confessed almost immediately. He wasn't a master criminal. He was a kid who'd gotten in way over his head. Josh was charged with unauthorized access to a protected computer system and a handful of related offenses. Because he was a minor, the court went lenient. No jail time, but he got 18 months of probation, 100 hours of community service, and a mandatory cyber ethics course that sounded like a mix of detention and a public service announcement. The worst part? He was banned from using a computer unsupervised for a year. For a kid whose life was online, Reddit, Discord, coding forums, that was like being grounded from oxygen. The school scrambled to recover. They spent tens of thousands of dollars upgrading their servers, adding firewalls, and hiring a cybersecurity consultant to patch vulnerabilities. The district never publicly named Josh.
Well, the classical principal heard a number of concerns from parents yesterday who thought that this may represent a threat.
Sticking to the technical glitch excuse to avoid bad press. But the rumors spread like wildfire. By the time Josh returned to school, everyone knew. The kid who'd been invisible was now infamous. Some students high-fived him in the halls. Others glared. The bullying didn't stop. It just changed. Now he was the hacker kid, a label that followed him like a shadow. Here's the question that lingers. Was Josh a villain, or was he just a kid acting out in the only way he could? Let's be clear, what he did was illegal. It was reckless. It cost the school money, disrupted classes, and stressed out everyone from teachers to parents to the IT guy who just wanted to go home. A DDoS attack isn't a victimless crime. It's a digital wrecking ball that hits everyone in its path. But let's step into Josh's shoes for a moment. He was 16, powerless, and trapped in a school that felt like a prison. The bullying, the apathy, the daily grind of being ignored, it wore him down. He didn't have the social skills to fight back in the hallways or the confidence to confront his tormentors, but he had a laptop and a brain. In his mind, crashing the school's servers wasn't about destruction. It was about survival. It was his way of screaming, "I'm here and I'm not invisible." It was wrong, but it was human. There's something almost cinematic about it. A quiet kid underestimated by everyone, finding a way to make the system bend. In a movie, you'd root for him, the underdog sticking it to the man. But in real life, it's messier. Josh didn't just disrupt the bullies, he disrupted everyone. Teachers who were just trying to do their jobs, kids who needed online resources to study, parents who relied on the school's portal to stay in the loop. His revenge wasn't surgical, it was a wildfire. And yet, you can't help but admire the ingenuity. A 16-year-old with no formal training, no fancy equipment, just a free script and a grudge, brought a public institution to its knees. It's the kind of thing that makes you wonder how many other Joshes are out there, quietly typing away, waiting for their breaking point. Josh wasn't a genius hacker or a criminal mastermind. He was a kid with a $200 laptop and a downloaded script, and yet he managed to paralyze a school for 2 days. If that doesn't scare you, it should. Our schools, hospitals, small businesses, they're all running on digital infrastructure that's often outdated, underfunded, and vulnerable. School districts, especially in under-resourced areas, rely on servers that haven't been updated in years, protected by firewalls that might as well be paper. And the tools to exploit those weaknesses, they're everywhere. DDoS for hire services, literal stressors you can rent for $20 an hour, are thriving on the dark web. Anyone with a PayPal account and a grudge can cause chaos. And it's not just Josh. In 2020, a 15-year-old in Florida allegedly used a DDoS attack to disrupt his school district's virtual learning platform during the pandemic, affecting thousands of students. In 2023, a group of teens in Europe took down a government website just for fun. These aren't isolated incidents. They're a pattern. Our digital world is a house of cards, and kids like Josh are one gust of wind away from knocking it down. But it's not just about tech, it's about the kids themselves. Teenagers today are digital natives, raised on code, YouTube tutorials, and Reddit threads. They're smarter than we give them credit for, and they're angry. Angry at systems that fail them, at adults who don't listen, at a world that feels stacked against them. Josh wasn't trying to start a revolution, but he was sending a message: ignore us at your peril. Josh didn't start a revolution. He didn't profit, and he didn't go viral. But for 2 days, he did something most teenagers only dream about. He shut school down, all because he had a laptop and a grudge. Our schools, our systems, our entire digital lives, they're more fragile than we think. And the kids growing up in this connected world, they're watching, learning, and sometimes pushing back in ways we never see coming. Thanks for watching. Stay curious, stay careful, and maybe check your passwords. Until next time.